What's up, everybody? My name's Oscar. I'm here with the band D.N.A, Debbie and Alex, brother-sister duo. They're also my friends I've known for a good amount of time, and we performed together many things. So, thank you for doing this interview. Welcome, even though I'm at your guys' place. And I just wanted, I won't go too deep into the band origins, as there are another interview already happening, or that has happened, with myself and another with Jessica Wildflower, which I will post the links to those in the description or comments or bio, whatever. So you could check out those where you could find out a little bit more about the band origins, influences, that sort of stuff. So this is kind of like a follow-up interview, if you will. So thank you guys for doing this. And how's it going? How are you feeling? Yeah, how's it going?
First, I just want to say thank you to Oscar Arellano, a.k.a. Thursday Island Psychic Charity,
Thank you.
a.k.a. Tipsy, a.k.a. Tripped Keys, if you follow him on Instagram, for giving us this awesome opportunity, and also for always supporting us in literally almost everything we do, whether it's music or whether it's personal. Oscar is just a great human being and a great artist, and we really appreciate that kind of support, although at times sometimes I take it for granted. Do you have anything you want to add?
To answer your question, Oscar, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like it was a long year that we all have gone through collectively, but there's hope now. Light at the end of the tunnel type vibes, and it feels good to see the entire community putting out content or working on their personal, and that inspires me to keep pushing forward. So I feel good, I feel hopeful, and I feel confident about the future for all of us.
Awesome, thank you. All right, guys. So right off the bat, I don't know what the saying is. I'd like to go into your guys's
Right off the back.
your guys's release and releases. So you released an EP, you released singles, but those singles are also in the EP. So I really like it, and it's called Atlas.Polaris. I was gonna look it up because I don't know what that means, but I was like, I'm gonna not look it up, and I'm gonna ask you guys, what does that mean? Where does the title come from for this EP?
Yes, I would love to go into detail about the title of the EP. So first, I just want to say that we wanted to do a full-length 9-10 song album, but due to the pandemic and COVID-19, we decided to do 2 EPs, and the first one is the one that you're referring to, Atlas.Polaris. And there's a little bit of a backstory to why we titled it that. So right now I'm 6 months pregnant, and
Congratulations.
thank you. And initially, when I first got pregnant, my partner and I, we wanted to call the baby Atlas, whatever happened, and that's because I'm sure you've heard of the artist Atlas Sound.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Wow, I did not know that.
yeah, so there's this album that my partner and I used to listen to a lot back when we first met, and one of the songs in that album is called Shelia. And the reason we wanted to name the baby Atlas is because during one of our first outings as a couple, or not even as a couple, we were just friends, the bartender's name was Shelia, and then we had this ongoing connection with that song title, And with that artist, we've gone to see
Okay.
Atlas sound live.
Damn.
Yeah, and so then Polaris came from a lyric that I wrote for a Debitonica song. And then the line it talks about that you're brighter than Polaris in the night sky, and I was writing a song about my partner.
So what's Polaris again? Is that's a planet or?
It's a star.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of the I think it's one of the brightest stars that you could
Oh.
see in the sky, and or whatever up there. And so that's the real backstory. But when it came to me and Alex, we just were like thinking of it as like something to document for the name of the future baby. Kind of like as an imprint in time.
Wow.
I don't know if you want to add to that, Alex.
I just was supportive of her choice because, yeah, like a way to commemorate the moment in time where Atlas
Yeah.
was at least in the mix to choose for the baby's name.
Yeah.
So I was, as I tend to do, a very supportive brother. So I'm glad
That's
it came
dope.
out the way it came out.
So it has a lot of good meaning.
Yes.
And then I noticed that for the songs, there's a period in between each word. What does that? Does that have meaning, or is just what? What does that mean?
Yes, there's meaning to that, and I will let my brother explain.
The band name D.N.A. has periods after the name, after each letter. So I decided
Mhm.
that it would be cool to kind of infuse that theme into the titles of our debut EP. And as we went along, it kind of evolved into having even more meaning for us. Periods in the names indicate hesitancy. We tend to hesitate when we're on our journey towards growth, some type of growth, or achieving a goal, whether it's like fitness or putting on music or putting on the podcast you've been thinking about, or going to the protest that you've been having on your mind, or whatever. And so the periods represent hesitancy. In the first phase of our EP releases, there's going to be it represents like the early phase of growth. So you're going to see periods in this first EP. All 4 songs have them. As Debbie and my sister mentioned, there was going to be an 8-album debut, album, 8 songs.
Yeah.
And all the songs were going to have periods, but it morphed into, because of the pandemic, we had to stop tracking and recording, and we cut it in half, basically. So the first debut EP has 4 songs, and we'll leave that with the that transit, that hesitancy, like the first phase of growth. And now all our releases that follow are not going to have periods to symbolize like the release, like letting go, getting through to the other side. Another thing of it is a period represents an end to something. So all our songs, again, in that phase of hesitancy towards growth, it's kind of like a stamp that you're putting your foot down and saying enough is enough. I'm done with this life, and I'm going to move on into what I know I can be. So the periods represent hesitancy, and also putting an end to that hesitancy and taking that really hard first step towards something new, whatever, for better or worse.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's represents where we're going as like a society, as individuals, as a band.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's great. I mean, there's just so much meaning to everything you guys do, in terms of names, the way things are written. I'm sure, there's just so many that maybe I'm missing. So I think that's pretty awesome you guys do that, because as a musician, I don't do almost anything like that. It's just very random, just throw out words, whatever. I think also has to do maybe because I'm not a lyricist and my mind doesn't really work so much like that. So I salute you guys for doing that. That's pretty awesome. And I'm sure that the viewers appreciate those types of stories or reasons why you guys do what you're doing. So thank you for sharing that. Moving on. I know some of these songs are, you guys have worked on them for a long time. Pre-pandemic too, right? Is that right? So what's the difference between the older songs to, let's say, something like the song Mija? It's a newer song. Is there a difference that one happened pre-pandemic and one during the pandemic, or just there's no difference in the terms of writing and that kind of stuff?
I would say that in terms of creating the songs, they're definitely more emotionally driven in that we wrote them during the pandemic. Some of the newer songs, we wrote them, during the pandemic, and due to having to stay at home, I think our creative senses were like aligned more, especially because we live together, and we also practice and write music here together, and it was almost like an escape for us. But primarily the music itself was more the music that we wrote here has a little bit more of a dance vibe to it.
Yes.
And that's because I really love dance music and EDM, and I'm really into artists that that make you move with more beats per minute, and especially because I was on a fitness journey, and listening to fast-paced music always makes me want to do good in my workouts. And I don't know, I just love dance music, and I love electronic music, but that's all I can add to it, but I know Alex can definitely add.
The thing about it is most of our early songs were more collaborative in nature, as a result of a lot of in-person jam sessions. But a lot of those songs didn't even make it on the EP, just for various reasons. We either grew out of the song, or we just felt it wasn't the right match for whatever reasons. The one song that I do know that was very collaborative in terms of just hashing it out together was Lumbre. It was the first song, and that was not by mistake. That's because we were both in a very emotionally driven state of mind at that moment in time, and so we worked on the song, and I would spend the night hours, fine tuning it and whatnot. But I remember that song being very collaborative, and that made it onto the EP. And then there's another song that's going to come out that was collaborative. It's one of our older songs, but we held off on releasing it till later. But as we evolved as a band, we fell into our positions a little bit more. Our roles were a little bit more defined as time goes on. That's not to say that I'm strictly the music maker, she's strictly the lyricist. It just evolves. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
it does. Yeah.
And as far as the music itself, the songwriting, a year ago, my sister did challenge me to let's make something a little bit more upbeat, danceable. A lot of the songs that come from my end of the spectrum are more bass heavy, hip hop ishy. I'm really into that slower sound. I really like that calm vibe, that atmospheric sound. But and I love that my sister's on. Not in addition to that, she's also on a different vibe. So when you put all that together, we push each other to kind of take it in different directions, and that's why I believe that each of our songs has its own personality, because we're not set on a formula. We're set on a certain vision for the moment.
Yeah.
So the upbeat stuff is a result of her straight up challenging me. Hey, why don't we speed it up? The song Mija, you're gonna trip out on this, but I was having a Chicano rap phase. I was watching a lot of Fools Gone Wild, tell you the truth, and I got inspired. I was like, let me put this bass line, and it was just like this. And I even showed her and her husband, and they were tripping out. It was slow, it was 60 BPMs or maybe 90. And when we had a conversation about where the song should go, she pretty much said, can you make something more upbeat, danceable? So I sped it up, and then the rest is history. Yeah.
Wow.
And it does make a big difference. I like it.
That's cool. Yeah, I like it too.
I just want to add that also the reason I wanted it to go faster is because I envisioned us playing shows or performing with those types of songs and with that kind of beat, and I wanted to challenge us to see what that would be like on stage.
Oh, so there's a live
Yeah.
um
Component to it.
yeah, component.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. I think when you write music, you do always, that does come to mind of what it's gonna sound like live, you know, and what how the listeners at the show or whatever are gonna react. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I guess the whole live thing hasn't came to my head just 'cause there hasn't been any shows in a while, and like the live component. Yeah, I like totally forgot about that. Just 'cause there hasn't been any shows. But all right, well, thank you for sharing that. So once you wrote this music, um, now you're going into the studio with our homie Josiah, awesome person, friend for life. Um, what was the recording process like, and how did you try to basically have the best come out when you record music and you want it to sound as good as possible. You want your ideas to shine and your vision, how you're saying. How did you do that in the studio?
Well, we prepared before going to the studio. We had a vision. I don't know if it was a vision board, but it was more like vision butcher paper.
Yeah.
And we have it in our studio. Just kidding. We have it in our up on our wall, you know. I just want to share that because we put up the songs that we want, and we put up like what we need to do,
Mhm.
and then how to prepare for like the recording. And actually it took us a while to get to the place of recording with Josiah. For whatever reason, it just, the opportunity wasn't there, and then the opportunity came, and we jumped on it because, you know, Josiah, we think Josiah is great, and we really love the sound quality of Dirty Diamond, your
Mhm.
album with Luna Crave. Shout out at Luna Crave.
Shout out.
Um, and so that's why we wanted to work with Josiah too. And I would say, like, going into it, definitely we had a vision. We spoke to Josiah about that vision. We told him that, you know, we really wanted to focus on how the listener feels in reaction to our music, and we wanted to kind of take them on a journey with us through the album or through the EP. Well, at the time it was an album, but then it turned into EP. And I would say, at least speaking for myself, when we were in the studio with Josiah, first of all, he's wonderful. Shout out Josiah, in that I feel like the three of us were always like finishing our sentences.
Each other's sandwiches.
Yeah, finishing each other's sandwiches.
Yes.
um yeah, and I was actually really like stunned at the ability for him to like kind of, not to say that he was reading our minds,
No,
but
yeah,
like,
he's
you know what I mean, like
big time.
he
He's
knew.
like, I always tell him he's a freaking genius.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah, like he would know what I was trying to say, and he would know what Alex is trying to say about
Yeah.
what the sound was that we wanted to add, or what we wanted to take away, or, you know, it was just that made it really amazing. But the actual process itself, like being in the studio, for me was very emotional, because the parts I did, like we spoke about earlier, a lot of the parts that I do is synthesizer or singing. And so obviously, because I write the lyrics, there's a lot of meaning to them for me. So singing them and seeing them come to fruition via Alex and Josiah and all of us kind of collaborating, it was really impactful, and there was a lot of release going on, and there was a lot of like, just like, there was some songs where I would have to take a break and like go outside because it was too much. It was
Wow.
almost like I had held up, or what is it, pent up energy inside. and then I would release it when I would sing into the recording mic.
Yeah.
And both of them had a lot of patience for me in that aspect. But yeah, I guess that's all I could say.
Nice. Thank
What was
you.
the question one more time? Sorry.
Just talk to me
Sorry.
about. No, that's okay. Talk to me about the recording experience and putting the songs, putting them into the world.
Okay. Well, putting the song into the world for me, this is the first official time, my first attempt at it personally, because I know she's recorded with you, and
Yeah.
I saw that happen, and I always had a curiosity, like how would it be, and I
Yeah.
never really had that experience. I mean, we recorded off our laptop, but I mean, in the actual studio with the right equipment, it's just a whole different
It's
situation.
even a bit challenging, right?
Yeah.
It's
So what really gave us for me, gave me comfort and confidence going into the studio, for even though it was the first time, was the fact that we were prepared. Like my sister just said, we had to rehearse like crazy. We're a live band. In my head, we're a live band. We never have recorded together up to this point, but we feel, although I do get some anxiety of being on stage, we do feel comfortable there. Like we can pull it off, and we've done it countless times in different contexts, to the point where that's not the issue. For me, it was like, all right, we've rehearsed the songs, we know them. It's like riding a bike. Like, even though we hadn't really rehearsed in a while before going into the studio officially, I told Des, it's like riding a bike. We'll get it. We start hitting the pedals and boom, and that's exactly what happened. You did mention about the music sounding as good as possible.
Yeah.
It was my intention as the instrumentalist to avoid that type of prepackaged processed sound.
Mm-hmm.
I like that we sound like us.
Yeah.
We don't sound like you have these fancy producers on the running the ship, steering the ship, and telling you what to do. It's us with a little input from Josiah as well.
Yeah.
To bring out the authenticity that is D.N.A, that I believe sets us apart from a lot of the other local acts right now.
Oh.
With all due respect, but I'm just saying that we bring with us a lot of life experience, a lot of performing experience, and we're two individuals that really, in my eyes, knowing my sister like I do, and of course myself, we're really not afraid to go there, to push ourselves and push each other, to give each other the best that we can offer. And that doesn't mean putting out what's the best sound. It's making it as authentic as possible. So when you press play, you're hearing us. You're not hearing the mix and the knobs and this and that. You're hearing two people with a whole lot of passion for music and a whole lot of love for each other and for what they're doing. And I think that's what we're lacking as a society. You don't hear that a lot of times when you press play. I'm not hearing the feeling. I'm not hearing individuals that are rapping or speaking on things that matter. You know what I'm saying? With all due respect to everyone, it's really a time for us to collectively put out that energy that reflects on what's been happening and what's going on inside, because isn't that what music is? Isn't it what music should be? Bringing people together, writing about universal themes that audiences can connect to.
Yes.
Just the other day, my sister shared a text with me that she got from someone saying, man, I'm listening to that song Lumina right now, and your voice, dude, is just so soothing, the way you guys put it together, and that's to me what it's about.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing, and that's what I want to put out on the EPs, on the recordings, or on the live show. That's the foremost, like, let's make it about the music. Let's make it about pushing yourself as an artist to put out something meaningful with intention. Thank you.
Well, as a listener, I gotta say I could definitely hear that. Most definitely.
Oh, thanks, Oscar. That's awesome.
On my way to work, I'm very nervous and very anxious every morning. I feel like hopefully that's normal. But the point is that as I'm driving to work, I was playing your songs for a while.
Wow.
To get ready for work, to feel human.
What an honor.
Because when I would drive, I felt, when you go to work, you kind of like a robot. You're like, gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do this. And listening to this, to your guys' music, I just felt like I felt human. Like, all right, I'm good. It loosened me up, you know. So I could definitely feel what you guys are saying as a listener. Um, and
Thank
speaking
you.
about, you're welcome. You mentioned themes, and that's something that I heard too as a listener. So this one's kind of for Debbie, although Alex, you of course can chime in. Some of the themes that I picked up as a listener, like I'm saying, are the themes of guidance and nature, love, right? So in guidance, I heard like anticipation, guiding light on Tree of Life. Little girl, your light shines brightly. Stars above protect you nightly. There's a lot of like guidance, ancestors. And can you tell me about that guidance that I hear when I listen to you guys and your lyrics and your words?
Mhm. A lot of the lyrics are about love, and the theme is love for yourself, love for others, love for the universal creator or God, love from the others, love from the greater being, love for the experience of life. And yeah, the metaphors that I use, when I use light
Mhm.
or shining light,
Yes.
that's what that means. That means like that light is pulling you towards love, pretty much. um so whether it means like you're being guided by the light or love, or it means that you're shining as bright as the light, or that you're looking for the light, or that you don't have light and you're in the dark. Like space fantasy is a lot of dark, not
Mm.
light. um that's kind of the theme. It's really just based in love.
Okay.
So, and a lot of the lyrics are about my own life experiences, but
Yeah.
not like specific things that I've been through, but like feelings and um like how maybe like going through absence of love for myself, or absence of love from the greater being, or absence of feeling love from others, or vice versa, me not giving it to others and not accepting
Yeah.
it. That's one of the major themes of my lyric writing process. But I also intend to, in my lyrics, write about letting go of things, recognizing that it's time for a new change. Like in our new song that we're gonna release soon. Well, it's not that new actually, but it's one of our favorite songs. It's called "Love to Discover,"
Yes.
and that song is literally, it's just about like how you can lose yourself in the darkness. You can lose yourself in you can just literally lose yourself when you don't tap into your light.
Yes.
You don't tap into love. You're depressed. You're losing yourself because of that. You're anxious all the time. You want to give up. You forget who you are, or you just don't even know who you are. And then so that song is specifically about like rediscovering and remembering like who you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good to know, and thank you for clearing that up and letting us in on your lyrics, in terms of exploring themes and guidance and love, nature. So thank you for that. And that was gonna be my next question, if you wrote them, if this was about yourself, but you said some are about you, but do you put yourself in other people's shoes and write lyrics based from them.
Yes. So sometimes
Fictional or actual people that you know?
So
Or
fictional.
both?
So fictional at times, but there are actual like people in my life that I I put myself in their shoes and then I write the song. Um so but like Alex said, I try to have a universal theme so that many people can relate.
Yes.
It's not like I'm writing the lyrics thinking like, are people gonna relate to this? It's just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, I know that I'm a human being and that I'm going through this, or that this person is going through this, and how can I make the lyrics, how can I, through the lyrics, make it so that we can all connect to that experience?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you. Now that we've explored the themes, I want to go a little bit back into, I guess, instrumentation and musicianship. Because you guys use a variety of instruments, and not only a variety of instruments, but within that instrument, there's different effects, there's different sounds, things like that. So I wanted to play a song, and I wanted to talk about the guitar a little bit. And this is from Tree of Life. So I'll go ahead and play it. And what my observation was that I hear guitar 2 times. One of them has like an acoustic sound, and then the other one sounds like electric. So let me play, and we could just go a little bit into that. Here we go.
Inside, anticipating guiding light. Anticipating guiding
So I'll cut it there. So what I heard first was it even sounded like a classical acoustic guitar, and then seconds later I'm hearing like more strumming and a different sound of the guitar. How do you go about making those decisions? Decisions. If you even do make that decision, or does it just come natural? I don't know.
So much to unpack there, Oscar.
Yes.
You know, the song was like we've said, the songs were prepared, right? They were
Yeah.
ready. We had a certain vision, and some things when you go into the studio end up creating, posing problems that you need to troubleshoot and overcome.
Yes.
In that specific case, the whole entire song was written on electric nylon string classical
Oh,
guitar.
right. Yeah.
Which that in and of itself is a interesting story, because as I understand it, that classical guitar, first of all, wasn't mine. You know, Debbie's coworker from Texas, something like had her babysit it or something. And long story short, a couple years later, the guy's like, "Screw it, he can have it. He's using it."
Yeah.
And I guess it's mine now, so that's pretty
Nice.
cool. But the entire song was written with the intention of the classical guitar doing the entire song, right? There's no
Yeah.
electric guitar. Reason is because I only have that electric or classical nylon string, and I intended to use it with chorus and delay for the solo. And that's how we had always played it at rehearsals.
Mhm.
When we get into the studio and we're tracking the solo, and it's just not coming out right. You know, it sounds a little
Yeah.
too bright. The strings are really, you can hear the fretboard being hit a lot.
Yeah.
So Josiah and I are thinking like, well, dang, you know, maybe if we tried at first like messing with the treble and the bass and the mids and this and that, and it still didn't hit right the way that we wanted it to hit.
Yeah.
So I had noticed the electric, I think it's an Ibanez or something, hanging up on on his wall. You know,
Oh,
on,
yes.
on Onyx. It's just up there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just looked at it, and I think it's a ESP guitar actually. I think it's an LTD.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But I was just like, hey, bro, let me. I think that could solve the problem, you know, because
Yeah.
an electric guitar can handle the higher frets than
Yeah.
more so than the classical good nylon string could when you're down there, you know, or up there, I should say. You know, it gets
Mhm.
a little sloppy up there. You have to be really careful. So we went with that, and lo and behold, you know, it worked out just fine, and it was really cool for me on a personal level because it had been a while since I played electric guitar. You know, like I've said in the previous interview
Yeah.
with Jessica Wildflower that I had pawned off a lot of my gears, so I was literally the keyboard we used. I mean, I think it was under their bed like for the longest, and they were just like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
I think Alejandro got it on like OfferUp or something.
or something." Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just scavenging for whatever I can get, and I think that's really beautiful how destiny is revealed to a person. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't by accident that I got rid of all that. It represents the period, the hesitancy,
Mhm.
and now we have let go, and I have a whole new set of instruments which influences the sound, and without
Yeah.
limitation, you know, because that old sound I bring with me, and it finds its way into the EP, you know, and that's beautiful, and I love that. So we
Yes.
tracked the guitar. It only took like maybe a couple takes, not that many, and it sounds crisp and clean the way we wanted it to.
Nice.
And I'll be performing it live, you know, God willing, on the classical nylon string, but I don't think it'll be a problem because it does sound good live, you know, to where I
Yeah,
can pull it
yeah.
off. I wouldn't want to switch to electric and then come
Yeah.
back. So yeah, that was really fun.
Wow.
That was a really cool like moment. I think that for all three of us, Josiah and us, where we really like troubleshooted something, and it kind of like that process brings you closer together. Like the trust is built, and you prove to each other that you're there for the
Yeah.
right to contribute, not just to like he's not just gonna record. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
It was very smooth, you know, in
Yes.
terms of that troubleshooting process. So that was cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess sometimes when you go to the studio, although there is a vision, even the vision itself gets tweaked a little bit sometimes because the studio is different than performing, than practicing. And that's happened to me a bunch of times as well when I go record with Josiah, come out with music that you're like, damn, like I didn't know that was gonna happen, but it's a very positive thing, and it's a great feeling, especially having someone like Josiah who contributes big time, and he's a musician as well, so he has I was gonna say a heart for music. Yeah, he does have a heart for music. He has an ear for music, is what I was trying to say. So he knows what's up. Well, thank you for sharing that on the guitar end there of that track. And Debbie, earlier you talked about you guys both talked about the dance vibes. So I want to play a little bit of the song Mija, and maybe since we kind of talked about it already, we don't have to go too deep into it, but let's just play it for a little bit. And this is your latest release, Mija, right? Okay.
Formerly known as Chicano from Seattle, we changed the title
Oh.
to Mija.
Okay, we're definitely gonna have to talk about that.
Floating visions in the night. I don't know if I'm wrong or if
I'll stop it there. Although I like really wanted to listen to the whole thing. So I forgot to mention one thing when talking about themes was language. So you have music in English and Spanish and titles such as Mija and Lumbre. So tell me about the title Mija, and tell me about the former title Chicano from, I was gonna say from Batman. Chicano Batman from Seattle.
Alex can talk about the title.
Okay. So again, this song in particular was written a year ago, about almost a year ago. I think April, May of last year. I had already started writing Tree of Life. It was on the way, with just needed Debbie's touch basically. And then Chicano from Seattle is actually that one that started as the Chicano rap song that I had sped up because she had really challenged me to try something different. So I was just watching YouTube videos one night, and there's this radio station in Seattle. I forgot the name, but they have big artists of all, but big and small, both big and small artists come through and perform. I love the band Cigarettes After Sex, and I had Googled them or searched them on YouTube, and I came across their performance at that radio station in Seattle. And they have a beautiful setup, like these long
is
blue
it the
drapes with like
SEXP? Because you're talking about cigarettes after sex. Is it SEX channel? No, XCP or something like that. Or am I
something like
tripping?
that. No, yeah,
I feel like I know what you're
something.
talking about.
It's a K something, and it's really I like the format because they'll play a song or two, and then the host interjects, and then they have a little conversation.
Okay,
and they
yeah.
Get back to it. Everyone's been on there, like Dave Grohl. I've seen on there. They have countless acts.
Yes.
So amidst these big time names, I watched them. I love watching live music. I feel like there's a lot to learn.
Mhm.
So all artists out there, if a big, huge, word of advice is watch interviews, watch live performances, see what the artist has to say. I mean, I'm sure you guys do, but it really helps me to formulate the music that I make also in a subconscious ways, I think.
Oh, yeah.
In this particular instance, I come across this title for the performance on that station of a band called Terror Cactus. Terror/Cactus, literally Terror Cactus. And okay, I was like, all right. And they have, and the what do you call it? The cover for that video is this guy in a huge like mask. It looks like paper mache, like a full-on like mask, and a big one. And it's like him playing whatever. So I was like, interesting. Let me click on that, and I do, and it's this guy, and he plays like psychedelic cumbia with his buddy.
Okay.
So you got this Chicano. He's a Chicano guy, and his friend who's Caucasian. And so this is just interesting. I always I gravitate towards artists that are just different like that. That are like regardless of what's going on around them. In Seattle, you're thinking grunge, the post-Nirvana era, but here comes this Chicano from Seattle. He's just there playing to a whole bunch of people, just doing music that you could tell that he loves.
Yeah.
And he's got the laptop going, and it's like, whoa, I see myself there.
Yes.
And that's a great feeling. As a lover of music, I gravitate towards that. So it's like a win for us. You know what I mean? Like for Chicanos, like to be
Yes.
there and fight for our spot, because we don't have a lot of it on this platform. And I feel that we're us as a band are in that fight to like get representation and diversity around,
Yes.
Beyond just the local level.
Definitely. I definitely feel that. Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Because there's a lot of bands that are like La Santa Cecilia, Las Cafeteras, Cuco, bands from out here to the Retros, and it's just like it's really great to see the acceptance of this kind of music, and Chicanos, Chicanas, that it's getting to those shows. It's getting to the mainstream, and I've noticed that too, and it is very inspiring. It is very inspiring to see the artists come up like that. It's pretty badass.
It's funny that you mentioned Las Cafeteras, because I had the pleasure of meeting their drummer at one of our shows at Los Compadres one night,
Yes.
just randomly at the taco truck. We were already done with our set, and the guys there, and Leo from the lab introduced me to him. They were like buddies, and it was cool, like to see the support. It was
Yes.
awesome, and so there's definitely that aspect of it. But to finish the background story of the title, when I write the songs, and it's just me on the computer, like getting the foundation going of something, I'll just put a working title, And for me, it came as that guy, inspired,
Yeah.
because I saw myself in it. To me, I remember the feeling, not necessarily the occasion, right? I'm
Right.
telling you how it happened, but when I saw that it was him, and hearing him talk, and just the whole music he was making, psychedelic cumbia in Seattle, to me spoke to me in a deeper way that maybe was unintentional by people like him who are just putting music out for fun that's danceable, but I look kind of beyond that part, if that makes sense. I kind of look for the
Yeah.
deeper meaning behind
Right.
what I'm seeing, and I'm mostly what I'm feeling. So when I saw that, I was like, that's dope.
Yes.
That's really cool. I'm glad that someone's out there doing that,
Yeah.
and in a large city, you know, that's highly progressive, and just like I just don't see us out there, and that's cool to know that we are.
Yeah.
So long story short, it was a working title for the longest, like literally, I would say a couple days before we actually, you know, put it out, set it up for release, and my sister texted me, you know, I think I want to go with the song title Mija for that. And I've always made it
Mhm.
very clear to my sister, like, these are just working titles.
Yeah.
Feel free to, you know, I respect that you're the song, you know, write the lyrics and the words, and that's your title, you know, but I just put it as a working title. And it's just interesting because sometimes the titles kind of grow on her, and she'll keep them along, but most of the time there's changes. So that's how that happened. Chicano from Seattle, which is
Alright.
now Mija.
Nice. Yeah, and there's I do that too, even, you know, with the bands that I play with and my own stuff. There's always a working title, and it's what you relate to that song at the beginning of the writing process. I do that too, like lots of working titles until you officially name it. So glad to know that. So how did Mija come about?
Well, after hearing Alex, I feel like I should have kept it as Chicano from Seattle. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, it's true though. after we like officially changed it,
Deleted and re-uploaded.
I know. Because like even some people were asking me like, "Oh, what about your song Chicano something?" And I was like, "What?" But anyway, so as usual, I mess things up. Just kidding. I'm just kidding for all of you out there, listeners. Yeah, pretty much. It's either working title or I change it. And at this point, I changed it because the song itself is it's a little bit more. It's just a little bit more tied to like, I don't want to say like a feminine side, but like some things that I think I've been through as a woman. And so, you know, my sisters called me Mija. My older sisters call me Mija, and they call Alex Mijo.
I love that feeling. I
Of
love
what?
when someone calls you Mijo or Mija.
Oh, yeah.
At the store, random or something.
Uh-huh.
Someone calls you Mijo or Mija, you feel good. You're like, nice.
Yeah, exactly. And in the song, there's like a really low tone lyric that says, "Let go, mija, dry your eyes," and it's like a elderly, not elderly, it's like an older, yeah, it's like an elder telling you
Yeah.
to dry your eyes, you know, like a elder señora, you know,
Yes.
saying like, "Let go, mija, dry your eyes."
Mm.
But it's not a señora. It's more like a chicana señora.
Oh.
She already like, I don't know. She's not really necessarily like a. She's a señora, but she's like an Americanized señora. I don't know how to explain it. First, second
Yes.
generation type older lady
Yeah.
who's like telling you to let go.
Yeah.
So
So it kind of goes a little bit back to the theme of guidance and love and
yeah,
great.
releasing.
Mija. Cool. Thank you. So I just have a couple more questions. I want to talk about, so this is my favorite song, although I love a lot of, or all of your songs. Space
Thanks, Oscar.
Fantasy gives me some straight up Hans Zimmer vibes, some straight up like, I want to play a little bit of Space Fantasy. It's like if Hans Zimmer went, like, just, I don't know, added more to his music. Less orchestra, but more, I don't even know what to call it. So let me play a little bit. So that whole foundation, I guess, of the song, the dun 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 dun. I just get this, like, I just could picture people acting and talking and going through this like emotional roller coaster, like crazy ass scene in a movie, and that playing in the background, you know, or like someone finally found something that meant a lot to them, and that's that playing in the background. I just get those kinds of vibes. Were you intending to do that, or it was just something that came about?
Okay, so because of our writing style together, this song, first of all, shout out Space Fantasy, because this is my favorite song of ours. Hands down, Space Fantasy. Check it out, please.
It's a really good song. It's really good.
I'm in love with this song.
From the
Like,
first time I heard it, I remember you played it, and it wasn't even the whole thing. You just played the piano, and I was like, damn, like that song's tight.
mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to say like hands down to my brother too, because this was one of the first songs that I was like, whoa, like you're really talented. Not that I didn't think you were talented before, you know,
Yeah.
but I was just like, wow, like I felt like we were expanding our minds, and it feels like when we wrote that song and when hearing it now, it makes me feel like really proud of us. I don't know,
Yeah,
but like.
definitely.
The hilarious part about this song is the process of which the way it turned into the song. Because I had a song idea and I sent it to my brother, and at the time I was staying in a hotel and I was in the zone, you know, when you're in the zone writing, you know. And it was just me and my Mini Nova synthesizer and my mic, like that comes with the
Oh,
synthesizer. And I recorded an idea along with lyrics, and those lyrics are the same lyrics that I still sing in this song.
Yes.
So even though that was like, I don't know, that had to be in 2018 or something that I initially wrote the idea, and then I sent the idea to Alex, and it completely morphed into what it is now. So like I said, the lyrics stayed the same, kind of like the flow. We had a lot of, I wouldn't say awkward moments, but challenging moments where like we would he would be working on the idea, and then he really challenged me in my singing abilities, and also like how I was going to incorporate the melody that I initially had created with the initial idea. And so it was just interesting in that way that Vente Caramelo. This is my dog Caramelo. But yeah, it really morphed, and like I said, when it morphed, I just was completely taken back, or whatever people say, taken aback, or what do they say? Because it captured, like Alex captured what the feeling and intention I originally had when I was like writing the lyrics.
Yeah.
The sound itself, it's completely different from what I had written. And I'm thankful for that, because it was meant to be like this, the way it is now. And I don't have anything else to say other than that. But I think Alex, though, he did an amazing job. And we did a lot of like back and forth, and a lot of sessions for this song. I think that's why it's one of our favorites, because there was a lot of time put into this song.
Yeah. Definitely.
Thank you for the love, both of you. And everyone that follows us and shares, and we appreciate it. It's a lot that goes into it that you probably don't see, but it's all worth it, you know? We know that we're supported by our community. So there's a lot to unpack in that song, because like Debbie said, you know, it took years, basically. And if you follow me on Instagram, on my story, it's been in my cycle, for instance, like, 2018.
Wow.
When she did send me that from a hotel room in Arizona, and just at nighttime, and just that, just that context for me as a songwriter was like, this is dark, and I want to take
Yeah.
it there. And it was real, the vocals,
Yes.
the harmonies she was using, just I was like, I know my sister very well, and I know when she's like in the zone.
Yes.
And I know that when I have to champion for that sound and when I have to come through for her.
Mhm.
So that's what happened with this song. Is I was like, damn, something's going on, and it's my
Yeah.
job to make it see that vision through.
Yes.
But in that production process is when we did clash, because I wanted to make a hard-hitting song because we didn't have that yet at that
Yeah.
point in time. We didn't have a song where right off the bat it was like boom in your face, and
Yeah.
that's what, with intention, I went in like wanting that.
Oh.
We went to we went to a Treasure Island Music Festival around that time in fall of 2018, I think October or something. A bunch of bands. Cigarettes After Sex was there. Tame Impala was the main act, which
Yeah.
I wasn't, to tell you the truth, was not a big fan of at that time.
Mhm.
And she was a big on them. So, and that's happened quite a few times where I get turned on to a band because of her,
Yeah.
After watching them live, it was just life changing. It really was. Specifically with the music, I love their I guess you can call it, like I tell Josiah, it's like the umbrella, that envelopes the rest of the song. It's like
Yeah.
this shell that the instruments operate under, but cannot like penetrate out of. Almost like our
Yeah.
atmosphere on Earth, the
Yeah.
sun rays come through, hit the surface of the Earth, try to escape, but because of all the freaking CO2 greenhouse
Yeah.
gas, can't. If I can put it like in that way,
Yes.
that's the way I see the song. I'm very like visual. I see the song. She kind of hears the song,
Yeah.
a lot of it, and feels it, and we both feel it. But big reasons because I'm putting it together like in the stems in the computer, so I see, see.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Tame Impala. I really did like their enveloped sound. It sounded big, and I was like, I want to make a big song.
Yes.
And this song, you hit that play button and
It
it just
starts
boom.
right away. Yeah.
And then that's where we clashed because my sister kind of wanted to keep it going. Hey, bro, let's
Oh.
that sounds sick. Let's keep it going. And I said, if there's one thing I learned from one of my favorite bands of all time, Tool,
Yeah.
is that you don't give away golden riffs. You don't
Yeah.
give away the listener. You don't overly use it.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't it loses value.
Yeah.
From listening to bands like Tool, which took me a while to get to listen to be a fan of theirs because of
Yeah.
that, ironically. But
Mm.
I did learn from listening, being patient enough to listen to the Tool songs. They have some of the greatest riffs, in my opinion, that I've ever heard, and they just give you 13 seconds of it or something.
Mhm.
And that to me adds to the enigma of that amazing band. That future Hall of, I don't know if they are in the Hall of Fame yet. They will be because of that,
Yeah.
because of things like that. So I learned from them and other bands to not give away your greatness,
Yeah.
like let's have the discipline to now morph it into something even crazier.
Yeah.
Not necessarily better, but just in a different direction so that we can tell a story around it.
Yes.
So you get this amazing like intro, and everybody loves that part. I love it. That's like the headbanging set, that part of the set where you're
Yeah.
just like, yes, it's
Mhm.
like, let's go. It's about to get
Yeah.
different. And then all of a sudden, it's all ends. And then all of a sudden, it's just me on the ting.
Yeah.
It's like this bell effect on the
Yeah.
keyboard, which is interesting in and of itself because I found that when I play those chords, which I couldn't tell you what chords I'm playing, I just know where to put my fingers because I'm
Yeah.
self-taught like that. But when I tried it on like a regular piano effect, it doesn't go. So
Oh.
only in that specific effect do I get that sound.
Mm.
So again, I go beyond like what's coming out of the
Yeah.
speaker. I go into like the behind the scenes, like I guess you can call it like a destiny. Like it was meant to be these chords in this specific effect to make that specific sound that is non-reproducible. Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's what you get after that. And then I threw in this weird like alien like sound effects thing in the background.
Yeah.
I really like those things. You know?
Yeah, me
it's
too.
out of the.
Mhm.
I know some people like I've heard the like you can hear us performing live at like the Majestic Ventura Theater. It's on YouTube, and you could hear like the criticisms coming from that. You know, you hear the entire first part, and then all of a sudden it stops and it gets like melancholy,
Yeah.
and you can hear someone saying, "Really?" This girl in the background like saying, "Really?"
That's funny.
And yeah, and that's what our music is. It's like it
Yeah.
challenges you to step back and like
Yeah.
go actually beyond what you think you know.
Yeah.
Let's take it a different way, and you might come out of it seeing things different. And that's what Tame Impala did for me. And so I went in with wanting to make that hard-hitting intro, and then you get this weird transition, and then the rest of it is just highly inspired by a side project from Chino Moreno called Team Sleep.
Oh.
There's a song that they have called King Diamond, and the
Mm.
beat is processed. And I said, why don't I process this beat? And it came out hitting different, and it slaps. Like I like the way the snare comes out.
Yeah.
You know. And then the vocals. I mean, that's crazy. You know. So
Yeah.
it just kind of just came to get the bass line. I wanted to carry the vocals. I kind of wanted to go
Yeah.
in parallel with the vocals, and it does help to like push that vocal through. And then the high note that she hits, which is like epic, right? That's like the epicest
Yeah.
part, most epic part of the song. I remember we were talking like what she was having like, what should I do? What should I do?
Mhm.
And I was like, you know what? Slice through the song right there.
Yeah.
I remember I talked about being like that, and encapsulated in the
Yeah.
shell, where be the breakthrough of that, like crack through that shell
Yeah.
with your voice. And she really did do that.
Yeah.
And she sustained it. And to her credit, Josiah DM'd us and saying, look, I didn't even have to fix none of that vocal. She got it. And that
Yes.
felt good. And I was like, thank you for saying that, because I know that that's going to make her day, you know? As an
Yeah.
artist, when you get that kind of feedback, it shows you that what you're putting out is what you're getting back, you know?
Yes.
I don't know if that makes sense. Thank you.
It's an amazing song.
I just wanted to add about Space Fantasy that there's a lot of components to it that Alex created. Like, for example, I'm gonna do this right now. When he adds the part like, and then like the I don't even know.
Yes.
You have to listen to the song.
Don't when I will play. I'll play a snippet for you guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Of those parts.
I guess I don't know how he created those. Like, I don't know. I know he used the program, but I'm just always curious, like how he created that. You know. I don't know if you have anything that you could help us understand about that.
The keyboard part, I use an effect, like it's called a bell or something, a bell harp. It's actually here's the interesting part about that. We're talking about that piano riff. It's on the lower end of the, I don't know, whatever location of the keyboard. And when you play it high, it makes that sound. It's the same effect, but it sounds like two different effects, if that makes sense. And one of the main reasons why I chose to do that is because I always keep in mind when we're writing the song, it's like I have to pull this off live anyway, right?
Right.
And one thing about me as a songwriter, I'm very minimalist, where I don't want to preoccupy my mind when we're playing live with, oh shoot, now I have to press these buttons and switch it up. It adds pressure to you as the artist, and you can't fully be in the moment. You know, it comes
Mhm.
at a cost, in my opinion. Some people do it and because they know like they can do a whole bunch of different things, but I'm very minimalist. I only use like 2 pedals, a keyboard, and the computer, and a nylon string guitar, and I'm content with like making it work, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So one of the big things that happened was I just shifted up top, and when I heard her verse, I just wanted some kind of like I really like the bell effect. I don't know if that
Yeah.
makes sense, but it wasn't too belly-like. It just gives it a more like romantic vibe. When I heard the
Yeah.
lyrics, you know, it really brought me to a personal experience. She uses universal themes, and it made me think about a certain situation where I found myself, we'll just say, having thoughts and temptations that I shouldn't have had.
Yeah.
And I think that this romantic part kind of like represents that for me.
Mm.
It's kind of like a sexy, awkward to say, but you know, for
Yeah.
me as a songwriter, I wanted to give it that like sexy, like
50 Shades of Grey.
kind of like that,
Yeah.
kind of like passionate, like it's wrong, but you know what? It is what it is. You know, it's
Mhm.
there. So
Yeah,
that was
that's
my
what's up.
attempt at recognizing that, that whole thing. It just kind of fit well with the pace and the everything, with the bass
Yeah.
too. So when you do low end work with along with the vocals, you know, it's like in tandem with the vocals. I like to throw in a high end too,
Yeah.
counteract. I believe in duality. We're like a very duality based band. We're similar but also very different, and I think that shows in the music and in the songwriting, and that's one example of that. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, like the octaves and all that
Yeah.
kind of. Oh yeah, I love that stuff too. All right, so I just have a couple more questions, and this is something that is kind of a personal question. Not that personal. What I meant by personal is that it's a question that I ask myself and the thoughts that I have, because you know, since I do music as well. So we're obviously, I feel we could say we do this because we love it. You know, this is not a 9 to 5. We're getting paid. We're doing it out of love. But it is also a sense kind of like a job when you're releasing, you're promoting, you're producing, you're making flyers, you're making mini videos. You're basically there's also a sense of trying to be heard, and you want as many people to be able to listen to your music. You know, I think every musician wants that for the most part. How do you balance the love of that music with the feeling that you don't want it to feel like if it's a job? You don't want to suck the fun out of it. Or does that even come about with you guys?
Yes, that does come about. For me personally, when I first started playing music again with Alex, I made it really clear to him that I wanted to do this not for getting famous or for money.
Uh-huh.
That I wanted to do it to create good music, and as a form of therapy, as a form of release, and also just to like create stuff that we know our bond can create. And but also at the same time with the intention of like putting it out there in the world so that people could hear it,
Yes.
so that they can listen, so that they can maybe relate to it, so that they can get something out of it, so that they can listen to it with like feeling a certain, you know, that it moves them in
Yes.
some way, and also for a connection with the listeners. So a balance that kind of right off the bat took off a lot of the weight of it feeling like a job. And also because we are because we have full-time jobs like you know, we have to do it on our time. We don't dedicate 100% of our time to music.
Yes.
Otherwise we wouldn't be able to do our full-time jobs.
Yes.
So really a lot of disciplined collaboration, a lot of like setting appointments to jam out together, because we have a lot of responsibility outside of music.
Yes.
So for us, creating music is an escape for us from
Right.
the day-to-day grind that we do. And so that's how we've balanced it, is just literally being like, hey, does this day work for you? And then Alex too. And then he puts it in the calendar, and then he shares it with me. And then we would literally be like, okay, we have a date, you know, we
Yeah.
have an appointment for this. That's what we're doing at that time. And then we had to do that for the recording also, and we have to do that to even just create music. And then there's times when we both individually have our own separate time. So I'll jam out and try to create something, and then Alex will do that on his own too.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how we balance the time. I would say like balancing love for music versus it becoming a job is just knowing that when we're writing music, it's not with the intent of like, I don't know, like, making it somehow, or like
Yes.
getting signed even,
Right.
or like obviously like if our music reaches a lot of people and they want to hear it live, I would totally be down to play it live for them.
Yes.
That's like a given. But I think we also don't look at it as a hobby.
Mhm.
It's like, no, we love to do this.
right.
So this is our
it's like a passion.
it's a passion
yeah.
of ours. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we've always had that passion. So that's kind of how we've done the balance.
Nice.
That's a great question, Oscar. What was the question again?
So we're doing this for the love of music. We love it. Like we said, it's not just a hobby. It's a lot more than that. We would love to be heard by as many people as possible, right?
Yes.
But that takes work. It does take promotion, videos, flyers, you uploading different websites. It takes a lot of work and effort. So in that sense, it kind of does feel a little bit like a job, right? So my question was, how do you balance the love of it with having, if you do have those goals, that it takes work to be heard, or does it come natural? Does it not even matter? How does that come about with you guys?
Okay, thank you for repeating it. There's a great quote from my pastor at church who said during a sermon, he said, "Un amor que termina nunca fue amor." And that stayed with me, and that was years ago. And to translate for those who are non-Spanish speakers, that means a love that fades away was never love to begin with. And I truly do believe that we do this because we love it. It's part of who we are. It's in our
Yeah.
hearts to do it. It wouldn't manifest the way it's manifesting if it was a hobby, like my sister said.
Yeah.
So it's way beyond that. I mean, anyone who knows us, like you and our family, and our neighbor, shout out our neighbor Christina. She's always posting on our stuff, like showing love, and we're always like reminiscing about the good old days when we would play metal in the garage. This is, you're put on this planet for a very specific reason. Everybody. We're all given gifts and talents, but only you know what those are. And if you don't take the steps to share them with the world, then you're not really fulfilling your purpose on this earth, in my personal opinion. But also, you can't take yourself too seriously. My sister and I, we joke a lot. But when we're on stage, it's like it's go time. Something.
Yeah.
I love what Jessica said last time, Wildflower. Like when you're on stage, sometimes you could see someone transform, as they're
Yes.
performing, and I think that does happen to us from time to time because we love it so much. When you love something, you have passion for it.
Yes.
And it's just nothing that could ever take you away from it. I actually personally I did lose my musical, I guess, motivation to create, years back, but you and Debbie never did. And so on a personal level, I would watch you guys perform and I would just be like, wow, that's so cool that you guys never quit, and it inspired me to get back into it. Yeah. At the time that I did. So that was your purpose, is like to
Yeah.
reel me back in, to keep me going. And then when the pandemic hit, we really both felt we were at a consensus that the time was right. We have no more excuses. We're
Yeah.
literally working from home. We live together. We have the equipment. We have the time. Let's jump on it and get it done. And so that's when
Yeah.
the vision board thing came about, and we followed through on it basically. Also, I'm a science teacher. I work with high school kids and
Yeah.
low income community of color, South Oxnard. and they're kids that I resonate with and that they resonate with me because I see them and I get to know them and I know that they might not have the best situation at home or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel that it's important that I follow my passion because in a way, and also with my nieces and nephews who are much younger, it's because it's important that us as the adults, to set the precedent for that next generation that you do need to follow your passions and you do need to manifest your gifts into something tangible for the world to enjoy and get something out of.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay. And I think that that's really missing. A lot of people get lost in like their own ego and their own superficial, reasons for why they do the music. You can have the
Even,
best. Go ahead.
I'll be watching movies or commercials where they make fun of like people who are in bands that are playing in a garage and all that. There's like commercials like that. I'm trying to think of one right now. But it's not. It's looked upon as like what, you're still doing that, but like that it's something that people expect you to get over or something. Just to add to that, yeah.
Thank you. I think that does represent an outdated philosophy where the mass media was. I'm talking the early 2000s, even especially the 90s. They had full control of what you get to see and what was cool, what wasn't.
What a musician looks like, what a musician acts like.
Sounds like. Even.
Sounds like, yes.
But thanks to social media, now we're in control of our own narrative. We do see each other. I wouldn't have seen like that band Terror Cactus in Seattle if I hadn't had, access to the internet and social media, whatever. So to your point, that's dead, that's not a thing anymore. That was just bullying, that was people who didn't chase their own dreams, lashing out at those who were still believing in themselves and believing in your sound,
Yes.
I think that I speak for both of us, all three of us really, when we say that we believe in our sound.
Yeah.
I believe in your sound. You told me the other day, I believe in your sound. When I hear you guys' song, you said even if we weren't friends, I feel like I would like your sound.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that is a reminder, like you're doing it right. You're doing the right thing for yourself and for your community. I know that we're not getting a bunch of likes or shares or whatever, but people are listening. And we see it when we go to the live shows and people show up to see us or whatever and give us props. And so you're like, wow, you're carrying something more than just yourself. And I was out to what I was saying earlier. I am a teacher and I work with youth, and we do spend time going over the data. Like, hey, look, I just put out this album, EP. Let's look at the list, the streams, and this and that, because we talk about data all the time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that when you put something out formally through a third party, you get to see those numbers, and as low or high as they are, you get to just incorporate it into your life. Wow, my teacher's like doing something.
Yes.
I've had former students say, "Oh, I didn't know you got down like that, Mr. Pacheco. I'm a performer too. I'm a rapper.
That's
Oh
what's
yeah,
up,
where you at? Oh, I'm on SoundCloud. Oh yeah, when you're gonna perform and this and that." And that's what it's about. As professionals, if you're not feeding your soul with your true passion in life, you're not gonna get better as a professional, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It really is tied into your purpose in life. When I have access to students, I want them to not just hear what I have to say on the PowerPoint or with the lesson. I want them to feel like what I'm doing as a human.
Yeah.
I tell them I'm taking care of my parents. I got them with me. I know a lot of you guys do too. Make sure you're going to college and you get your career, lock it down, secure the bag, as you guys say, and then they make fun of me because we don't use that no more. But so you can take care of those that you love.
Yes.
So I want to like practice what I'm preaching.
Right.
Without
by
showing off or
example
freaking getting on this platform and this and that.
Yes.
Let the music do the talking. I believe in our sound. And I will always believe in our sound, no matter what anyone thinks or says, no matter what. I was on this planet to make this happen. I really feel that. I feel like a lot of artists don't have that passion or the confidence or the skill set to believe in their sound.
Yeah.
So and it shows in the recording and it shows in the live performance.
Yeah.
I watch everything. I see everything. I see it all. And that's what I have to say about it.
Nice.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to people who actually devote their entire lives to their music career too.
Yes, that too, yeah. People who move
Yes.
from outer from states
Exactly.
to another part of the country.
Like people who work really hard to get their
Yeah.
music out there. People who risked the stereotypical career college life so that they can shoot their shot, or so that they can just work on only their passion. You know,
Yes.
I think it's important to note that regardless, like if you decided to do that or not, I don't know. I think it's important to appreciate people who devote their entire lives to that, even if they don't make it big or whatever, you know, because I just think I commend people like people that did that. Like sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I look back and I think, you know, I think like I wonder what it would have been like if, you know, if I sang and created music nonstop. At times I was even bitter and resentful towards artists who somehow were able to pull that off.
Yeah.
Because I would feel like how do they do that? Like how are they pulling that
Yeah.
off? Like I'm over here 21 years old working 40 hours a week, you know, and like going to school full time. Like how the hell are they doing that? So I think it's a choice, definitely. And I think that I just want to give a shout out to those artists, because I cannot speak to that because I prioritized other things. I prioritized school and university and like having a job and having the ability to like have a steady paycheck, you know,
Yeah.
and also a passion, a separate passion from this passion.
Right. Yeah.
Because
definitely.
that what I do is a passion in and of itself,
Mhm.
that if I didn't have passion for it, I never would have, I don't think, landed where I'm at now in that career.
Yes.
So I just want to give a shout out to people who don't take that route. But it is important to tell people, like, you know, I guess in that sense we kind of differ, because for me, when I hear someone say that the music speaks for itself, I tend to buy into the idea that, like, because the music is so good, that person is able to dedicate their entire lives, you know?
Yeah.
Or like I think of Billie Eilish, you know, for example, like that she's so young, but she makes music with her brother, and they just wrote songs and put it on SoundCloud, and because of their talent and because of their following, that's how they got big. And that's how they've been able to dedicate their lives to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they're backed by what, like a label, right?
And
or
they're
something.
backed by labels, yeah. So I'm just saying, like, there's so many different artists out there that they dedicate their lives, and you know, I always wonder, like, how that would be, you know, how that would have been like for us. I think I even went through a phase like that, you know, where it was like, I think I want to do that. And then because of being first generation or second generation, some people think we're third generation, whatever. Our parents are from Mexico, and you know, I think there was this like expectation, and thank God, you know, a push for us to become stable and to have something stable, you know. And but at the same time, because of my mom, we were into music, so it's a give situation either way.
Nice. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to expand on that point. I want whoever's watching this, who is making music or thinking about it or in the process of, or blah blah, or has success, you're right where you're supposed to be. You're right exactly where you're supposed to be. And not to get too overly spiritual, but I do believe that God protects us from those things that which would otherwise have destroyed us. So if you haven't broke through, if you haven't reached whatever you thought it was going to look like or sound like for yourself, it's for a very specific reason. Sometimes we get things twisted, you know. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm supposed to be this. But in reality, we all matter. We all have unique gifts and talents that, in some way, shape, or form, manifest themselves into your daily, real life. Because you're not gonna hear from artists that blew up about the struggles and things they've had to do to get where they are. Nobody wants to hear those stuff. They just want to hear the bangers and get to the concerts and make the money and make the fancy videos and have a cool club and like you're not in the cool club because this is exclusive and you can't be here and look at my mansion. But no one's gonna talk about what they had to do to get there. And I think that that's a conversation that's missing, and that's not by coincidence. That's on purpose. We live in a very self-absorbed society, and I think it's time for people to get over themselves and make music and make art that brings people together with, like I said, universal themes, universal sounds that has something for everyone. And I think that's what we're trying to achieve in D.N.A. I purposefully make music, personally speaking, that a hip-hop head can enjoy, like myself, but also a metalhead can identify with in certain parts. I think that's missing, and I think that music that stands out has that like intention hidden, buried underneath all the other glamorous stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're not successful, it's because you have a different destiny. You know, only like less than 1% of people who blow up, make it or whatever. Less than 1%. There's so much content out there, and some of the best music never gets out, never gets recognized, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's for a very specific reason,
Yes.
just to expand.
Hell yeah. All right, cool. Thank you. I love that outlook of being destined and that kind of thing, because that comes a lot as a musician. I always think about, because I get questions like, oh, when you're famous, don't forget me, or things like that, and in my mind I'm like, sorry, but I'm probably never gonna be famous. But I'm gonna do what I love, because I'm not going to, unfortunately, to be famous, you there's probably a certain route you have to take, and I'm not gonna take those routes for that, and I don't think either of us will. I think we're just gonna stay genuine. So it is what it is, and at least we could say, we're doing what we love to do, and we're our own biggest fans in a way also. We bump our own music. We put our own songs in our playlists and all that. So it's great, So imagine doing something because you're trying to be famous and you were like not really that into it, but you were trying to gain that. And now you can't even listen to some because you're not even that proud of it. That's got to be worse. Or not worse as in things are bad, but it's got to not be a good thing. We're going to wrap up with this last question that goes into your future. And it goes into you said you're going to have a second EP release now. And how many songs is it going to have? And is there a name yet? And is there a time frame of that release?
We're working on the EP still. There's songs that are completed, and one of the songs, well, we already released Mija, and that's going to be on the EP. And we're also going to release Love to Discover, and that's also going to be on the EP.
Wait, you released Love to Discover?
Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to release.
You're going to?
Yeah.
Is there a date for that one?
Not yet, but it's coming up really soon. Like,
okay,
probably
I can't
this
wait to
month.
hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we're just finalizing the artwork for that, and I'm working on it with Alejandro. So that's kind of the near future. But we don't have a name or title for the next EP that we're going to release. And I'm actually really pumped up for this song that we're working on. That right now it's titled we just call it like the Bjork song.
Yeah.
But I'm really
The working title.
Yeah, it's
The
the
Bjork.
working title is Bjork song. And I'm really, really excited for that song because there's these riffs, guitar riffs that my brother plays that literally I can't even explain it. I'm getting emotional. It makes me feel like, I don't know, when I hear it and when you hear it you'll know. But it's like I had to tell him to extend the part to play it more, because I was like, he only wanted to give us a piece of it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, you have I
Yeah.
literally was like, you have to keep playing that, please. Like,
Yeah.
just give me a little bit more, you know?
Yeah.
Just a little bit more of that riff, because I need that riff.
Yeah.
Like and we all need that riff. Like, it's not just me, it's like the world needs
Mhm.
the riff. And and thankfully he, like, hopefully in the process that we're in right now, he has extended it. And that song is just so powerful. Honestly, I cannot wait for us to finish writing it. We've been working on it for like around a year now, that song. Yeah. And it's just, that's going to be on the new EP. And then we have a couple of other ideas too that we're working on to add to the EP. But right now, you know, like I said earlier, I'm 6 months pregnant. So when we're writing, we have to play low volume because I
Oh.
have like this, I think that if we play
Yes.
too loud, then the baby might like go deaf or something.
Yeah.
Even though it's in my,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't want to mess with it, you know?
Yeah.
So right now, like, our last 2 writing sessions have been like low volume, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But that's our future goals. And then definitely an intention of performing live
Oh yes.
once we can, and once we're able to perform live again. We
Mhm.
want to perform live. Actually, we could perform live even now, you know. I'm assuming that once my baby's born, I won't have time to perform live until I'm like used to the newborn process, and hopefully
Right.
everything comes out okay, you know.
Yeah.
So those are like the immediate future goals, but long term, I think we've already discussed that we're just gonna keep playing music, and we're gonna keep writing songs, you know,
Nice,
no
yeah.
matter what or where we are.
Yes.
That's what we're gonna keep doing, and we have the support of our partners, which is really awesome,
Oh yeah.
because, you know, it's difficult to have an artist partner who, like, you know, wants to give time to that,
Yeah.
and then it could take away from your relationship, you know.
Mhm.
So having, like I said, having supportive art a partner is pretty important. So that's all I gotta say about that. But yeah.
I agree with everything she just said, but I think that there's still something left to do with this EP. Maybe music videos or like an
Yeah,
interviews.
yeah.
This is awesome. Like, it helps us expand on what we put out. We haven't yet. This is our first go at all this process. So
Yeah.
like the post production's done and the promotion is challenging, and I've been submitting music to bloggers, and I like the
Yeah.
challenge of, let's see what kind of feedback we're getting.
Right.
A lot of rejection, I'll tell you straight up, and that's okay. You know, I expected it.
Yeah.
It's hard at first, but you know, you can also take it as an opportunity to grow as a songwriter, and that's how I'm taking it. So like for me in the immediate future, this summer I envision myself just hashing out songs, ideas, informally, while my sister goes through her, you know, new motherhood process, birthing process. God willing, everything comes out fine, and I think that in and of itself is going to influence a new chapter in this
Oh,
band,
yeah.
and so we'll see. We'll have to
Yeah,
wait
you'll
to
probably
see, but
be writing songs about your baby.
exactly. So in the immediate future, we still have things to do with this first EP, in visuals way. You know, I think that we're
Yeah.
missing that aspect of our sound, of our, I guess you could say, our journey. And then just coming up with ideas, and then when the time is right, we'll put out the second EP. But right now is not the time for it. Right now is the time to focus on the baby and focus on getting ideas going in our back pockets, so we can, when the time does come, we'll be ready to put more stuff out. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so
this is
much,
a lot
Oscar.
of great information, a lot of great insight into your musical process, your musical releases, your lyrics, everything. I really appreciate the information, and yeah, hopefully we look forward to your next part of your journey with your baby and with your releases and with a music video, hopefully, and everything.
Definitely music
So
videos.
please, everybody, check out D.N.A. What's your Instagram?
D.N.A _music _805, and
Okay.
we have our linktree
yes,
connected to our
I'll definitely share
bio. Yeah. Or you could
Alright.
also follow Debutanica. That's me, and the link tree is also there.
that. Awesome.
And then I think you also have the link tree. I'm not sure.
All right, I'll
Alex too.
definitely include those links
Thanks.
in the YouTube description.
Thank you,
Cool.
Oscar.
Well, thank you, and peace, everybody.